there's a guy up here in Stafford who um, told me about. I can't remember if he told me the about the EastNet Packet group or the Packet Radio RF forwarding, group on groups.io or Google, whichever groups it is. So I started following it and everything, and then learning what the different guys are doing, and I, went to the website and everything, and that's how I came across, Glenn Allison from up in, N3MEL, and looking and learning more about their network, these little, I'll call it, they call it a hub and pool, but so basically it's a not looking for long range, but somewhat of a localized regional networks off of NVIS antennas. So anyway, so I started following that and I started getting really interested. And then as I heard more about, APRS and SMS messaging and things, I started putting, well, APRS, Appalachian Trail Golden Packet, you know, TP, TP, I keep want to make sure I always screw this one up, but the TPRFN, their network, I started like, well, wonder if there's something we could do with it. So figure the best way to start that would be to reach out to that organization and see if we could get somebody to do a brief. Glenn was kind enough to do a brief for the Pentagon Amateur Radio Club last Wednesday. That group, if anybody has anything they'd like to brief to them, they meet once a month, but they're very stringent on their time to where, your brief really needs to be about 40 to 45 minutes to cover, if you have any questions at the end, and then cover the basic 5 to 10 minute admin they do come up. Like one of the things that are coming up, we have the inauguration, we have any State of the Union, any address and stuff. So we will activate that radio station up there in the Pentagon because it's a combination Pentagon Amateur Radio Club, the Pentagon Mars Station, and then also, and it's all done by volunteers at the Pentagon. So in other words, so we'll get activated and we actually get written into some of the comm plans, not on the amateur side, but we're using the same radios. We can do encryption up there. We can do Mars, and we can actually do drills where we're in contact with other, other platforms up in the air, and relaying at a very slow rate of speed, but relaying messages for them. So we get to play some radio with some national assets. So it's pretty interesting. But anyway, so uh, based on all that, I thought it would be neat to see if we can get Glenn to kind of give an overview of what they had, especially since they do Packet and APRS. This might be a good group to ask questions and see if even if it's just me building a VHF to HF to do a uplink into their network during the Appalachian Golden Packet, see if there's something we can do to add to it, and maybe as we keep trying to do things, with APRS and the Golden Packet. So, if anybody has any questions now, otherwise I'm gonna flip it over to Glenn. And Glenn, if you want to start taking control of the screen to do your presentation, you go right ahead.
Ron, is it
Yep.
possible for me to just go over a couple of
Oh,
business
yeah,
items
absolutely, Jeff. Yeah,
first?
that was on my list of things, and that's why you write a list down so you don't look at it.
No
Yes,
worries.
please do.
Yeah, I don't have any slides prepared or anything, but you guys know just in the usual fashion. So typically end of January, beginning of February is when we post the sign up sheet for the event, for Golden Packet event. So gosh, I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but as
I'll
usual,
do it.
third Saturday in July.
16th, I think, but I'll check.
I believe that sounds about right.
July 19th, I have it.
It's the 19th. Yeah, we've advanced 2 years.
Got it. All
Yep.
right. So I think, the big thing with that is given the meetings that we had October, November, December, there was a lot of like strategizing, talking about potential changes to locations. I think so I'm trying to think what the best way is to do the sign up sheet this year is um, we can go with the list of locations from last year and then just put subject to change, just to get something up on the website, sooner rather than later. Um, I I know that there was a site that had status of different parts of the trail. I think, after the hurricane went through a few months ago, there's definitely some cause for concern even several months later in terms of whether or not people are actually going to be able to access the sites that we've used in the past. Um, so, that's something that, I definitely want input on. I don't want to just go out and make decisions on my own, but if I don't get any input, then I will. But, over the next couple of weeks, we'll start a thread on groups.io. I'll put out the proposed list for 2025, and then, we'll just kind of take it from there. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments on that?
The only thing I'd say is I think you're spot on, Jeff, getting that thing out there. Yeah, it's still going to be a what if on that part going, I'll call it the mid part of the southern end. I don't think there'll be much changes to the north end. I know, what was his, I forget who I can't remember the guy. I'm working with them. We're going to go up and do the two sites in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Yeah. So we're coordinating with I've literally been back and forth I've been every weekend in North Carolina with my sick father-in-law since before Thanksgiving. So he's doing okay, but he got shingles really bad. So
Oh,
he's not driving right now. So we're making sure he's got food and he's 92 years old, stubborn, and
wow.
vowed to take care of himself and stay alone in his house. So, but then he'll complain that nobody's getting him food. So it's like anyway. So, but yeah, Jim Conrad. I think so we're gonna get a weekend somewhere, hopefully between now and the end of March or April at the latest. But to check that, I think it's called Big Gap up in Pennsylvania, north of Shippensburg, and where I'm looking at staying on the 501 shelter near Pine Grove.
Yeah, and I think just like in general, I think Glenn was who volunteered to be the captain for the southern portion of the trail. I'll probably coordinate with him, maybe do like a little road tripping or at least networking with people who live in the vicinity of the locations that we typically staff so that we know or we can find out from somebody who's local what the conditions are. Because I would like to get the locations locked and loaded for this year so that, we have a definitive call. Of course, this past year we had a couple of last minute changes that, it wouldn't be the Golden Packet without last minute changes. So, so we'll be prepared for that, but I would like to get the list posted by, I'm actually going away out of the country at the end of this month, and then John Tarbox and I are, I'll talk about this in a minute, but we're going to Orlando Hamcation in the beginning of February. So I'm thinking by like end of the second week of February we can have it posted.
Okay, good.
Um,
When you're at Hamcation, I don't know Orlando if Kenwood's there. Talk him into the new radios to do a test.
Yes, yeah, that is actually part of the plan. So let's shift over real quick to APRS Foundation news. At last count, we were up to 175 members, not too shabby since we opened the doors for membership at the end of August. We received a couple of very healthy sized donations. We received a bunch of donations, but we received $1,000 from Bob's family. And we also received $1,000 from ARDC. So, those were just completely amazing donations. It's really nice to see the support for the foundation and for APRS. So between membership, between donations, they're really helping things out a lot. Jury's still out on the grant. Couple of other like little technical bits and pieces, so you guys will be the first to know. But and server, so Lynn's so it's actually a Windows server, was a Windows server running APRS IS32. And server is actually built into it. It's just hidden. So I worked with Lynn's son, and in fact, actually, I can show you guys.
Is that Paul?
Yeah, it is Paul. Which screen did it go to? Hang on a second here. Let me see if I can find this real quick. So I've got remote desktop within remote desktop within remote desktop. So don't try this at home. Share screen to share. So you guys have all seen APRS IS32, but the net of it is that the foundation is now handling Lynn's APRS IS32 server, and again, this does include and server. It also maintains all the markings for all the APRS-enabled satellites and non-data satellites as well. So there's markers for those, and then all the markers for the Golden Packet and tons of other ones that Lynn has posted all over the years. It's a good thing that we were able to get hold of it because it was on a server that nobody really knew about, and eventually a bill would have come due and not gotten paid, and it would have been just shut down. So it's a good thing that it's under our control. And no more single points of failure, right? We're trying to identify single points of failure and do something about them, and not just talking about technology, but also human single points of failure. So unfortunately, losing Lynn was a huge loss, but we also identified a couple of areas where nobody else knew about these systems. In fact, there's one that we still are working on trying to identify and get to the bottom of it. Another piece of news, I would ask you guys to kind of keep on the DL for right now because we haven't gone live on it yet, is that the foundation is going to be managing a tier 1 APRS server. So there have been 6 servers for the past several years. John Tarbox and I, as well as Lynn and I, had calls with Pete Lovell, who is actually the original developer of it's a Java APRS server. So most of the APRS servers today are actually running APRS-C, APRS RVR, Java APRS. I think I may be missing one. Yeah, there we go. So this is the APRS server code that was written by Pete Lovell. This concept of like what we call diversity in, just in the IT world and security world is that you don't really want to have all your systems running identical code, because if there's ever a vulnerability that's exploited, they could effectively take down all of tier 1. If all 6 servers are running the same code, they would all potentially be impacted. So by introducing a server running Java APRS server, would be introducing some diversity. So that's really, really exciting, is between and server running a tier 1 server, and then also this tier 1 server will also take over what's called CQ server, which is kind of like the older version of and server, but it's still around and it's still used.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I think that may be it for the announcements. If anything else comes to mind, I'll throw them in towards the end. I know we've got a speaker, so I don't want to take any more time.
No, good information, Jeff. Thank you.
Yep.
So with that, I think I'll follow your lead on that. We'll look. You had a question, John?
Yes, I put it in the chat. You mentioned the Pentagon Amateur Radio Club. Are those presentations recorded? Are they available to the public? And could you post a link where we could see it?
It's funny you say that. So they are recorded, but I don't know. I've never seen a recording. I've actually asked, because every time somebody goes, "Hey, is this being recorded?" Yeah, it's being recorded. And then they say, "Will you share the link so we can, maybe look at it?" So, so right now, I think they're being held by the Arlington Amateur Radio Club. I'm not a member of them, but I will talk with Gary Sessoms and me and a couple other guys, the Pentagon Club. Gary's part of both. So anyway, but I'll work and see if I can find some of that.
Thank you.
All right, Tim joined the APRS Foundation. Round of applause. Thank you, Jeff.
Tim.
I didn't even know it was there.
All right, so what I'll do is we'll kick it. We'll turn it. I kind of did a brief intro for Glenn a little bit earlier, so only maybe 1 or 2 people joined after that. But just for Glenn's part of the Packet Radio RF forwarding network, which is, he'll give you the big explanation, but it's kind of set up on the East Coast, looking to expand. And then at the end of that, any questions we have for Glenn, think of it when he's going over if there's ways we can bridge the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet event with it. And then after that, we can kick, and you guys who, anybody with you, Glenn, that's from your group that's on, you're more than welcome to stay on till the end of the call. But after your presentation and everything, we'll move over to back to the Appalachian Trail and kind of close out to, maybe where we're thinking in terms of types of equipment and maybe, just focus a little bit on the 2025 event, since we're only, 6 months out. So, all right. Without further ado, I'll click over to Glenn Allison N3MEL.
Well,
And if
good
everybody else
evening.
could go on mute, that would be great.
Good evening, Ron. You hear me okay? Thumbs up.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. All right, good enough. So good evening. It's nice to be here. I appreciate the invite. One of my fellow network guys, one of the original guys are on here with us too, Brian KA3VSP, who's in northern Delaware, just south of me. I am 25 miles west of Philly, in Chester County, Pennsylvania, just above the Delaware border. And it was Brian, myself, and a couple others have been kind of messing with this network. It all kind of started with Brian. He's our BPQ guy. He's our AX25 guy, and he's been working hard to promote packet radio in general, particularly in Delaware. But he and I got hooked up, I don't know, 3.5 years ago, and been messing with packet ever since on that level. So he's on here with us tonight. I did invite a couple of the other guys, but I'm not seeing them. So anyhow, we're our whole the whole base of operation was packet. That's where we started. We understood the vulnerabilities in digital communications and watching, all the other modes develop. Vera AC and JSA call, and of course WinLink, and I don't have anything against any one of them. But nothing's guys are trying to do stuff, but we kept reverting back to packet radio and the adversity that packet has always brought. Yeah, you may not be sending all the great attachments and pictures and all that stuff, but for data and a data message, and being able to send it to a specific person, to a specific region, to a specific country. None of the other ones do it like Packet has the ability to do. So that was our base. We watching the Packet network and getting back into it. It had grossly converted over to IP, and with that, it became this mess because everybody could just set up and forward to everybody and do whatever they wanted, and you'd send a message to I'd send a message to Brian in Delaware, who's 20 miles south of me, and it'd have to go to South America and then probably Mexico and then California to get back to Brian, and we decided that we needed to fix that. We needed an off-grid solution, and we didn't think WinLink was it because WinLink is based on 2 CMS servers, both on the Amazon network. I can imagine that Amazon gets attacked every day, all day long, and you just wonder when somebody's going to actually get through their network. And when those CMS servers go down, of course, there's P2P and there's other parts of WinLink, but there's no plan B for WinLink. There's nobody setting anything up to say, okay, if the grid goes down, we're going to do this. So we took it upon ourselves, a group of us, to say, look, we need an HF solution. We need to build a backbone for Packet. Brian and I have been working on a VHF UHF solution locally, and then it kind of grew from there. So I'm going to share my screen, and I have a very short, it's only 7 slides. I'm not gonna take up a lot of your time tonight. but I'm gonna open this up. Hang on one second. So, okay, good. So packet radio, HF forwarding network. And the reason the ability to do this also was born out of the modem application Vera. And it's what has taken and brought, in my opinion, Packet into the mainstream, because now Packet can be run over Vera. We have the same data rates that everybody else is enjoying. We're still an AX25 based network, but when the packets leave here, they go across Vera. When they come out, wherever they come out, and they end up on somebody's screen, they're back at AX25. All the forward error controls there, and the messages arrive safely. So we thought, and being on the East Coast and hurricanes being what they are here, particularly, that we needed to start to build an HF NVIS style network so that Maine doesn't have to be able to connect to Florida. Maine just needs to go 200, 250 miles to their south to New York, New York to me to Virginia. We have a gap in Georgia, but that's going to get closed here probably early spring. One of our Connecticut stations is moving to Georgia, and it's going to be setting his hub station back up down there, and that's gonna really close a gap for us on the East Coast. And we've been branching out to the west a little bit. We do have a station now in Indiana, and we have a station in Wisconsin. So this network was derived initially for Packet, as I said. But after the aftermath of Helene and all the stuff that happened, particularly in North Carolina, but other states right in that region, the idea came along that, we have this ability with this digital network to do more than just Packet. And maybe we ought to think about branching out a little bit. So, we understand that these storms in the country are not going to get any better anytime soon. There's going to be a lot more devastation. I mean, look at the mess in California right now. It's absolutely horrible. And that maybe keeping Packet as our backbone and moving that data across the country, that we should branch out and offer more services to, particularly if somebody has to deploy like you guys do with the Golden or the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet event, and you're setting up portable stations and you're doing the stuff. Our concept now is very similar. So if a guy has a portable, MPES antenna, and he needs to go and set up an HF station somewhere because they have no communication ability, we want to be able to fill that need by having base station style network up and down the East Coast and further eventually, that a guy can throw a signal out there, and whoever he happens to fall into, one of the hub stations or even the polling stations, if they're on the right frequencies, will pick up their traffic, whether it's, so like I said, we've branched out from Packet. So we have Packet ability, we have WinLink ability, we have RMS server. It's running. We have hybrid network, so that if the internet's down or something's going on with the CMS servers, our network will hold that traffic for a period of time, and then if that time expires, we have the ability to take that traffic out of my station, if you will, and I can pass it on up to New York or even on up to Maine, where maybe they have internet connection and they can get that data into the WinLink network. Then we can pass that on. And then recently, we've added APRS. We're not doing, we're not having our own frequency, and we're not We're not trying to branch off from anybody, but we thought that we should be able to have the capability for a field station to be able to send an SMS or an email message through our network on HF, and we would put it into the APRS network. I have APRS here at the house. We're obviously on HF. I'm also on VHF. I have a station and a digipeater with an iGate running, and we have the ability by RF to get most traffic into the network. So that's really where we thought that we could add some value add to the e-coms world here with HF, and again, our primary position is packet. That was number one. But with the advent of Vera, HF and NV and FM, we've expanded the network. So as you can see, I've gone over these bullet points all right with packet, WinLink hybrid. We also partnered with RRI. We can also take NTS traffic. We don't distribute the traffic inside the network, but we do have direct access to the NTS server, and we can pull the traffic right down out of ours all over HF, and we can dump those NTS messages right into the national traffic network if they come through our network from any direction. So we're doing that with, and like I say, we partnered with RRI on that. The APRS, it's in blue here because we're still kind of working on it. We have been playing with Vera HF and APRS and having some success. We had better success with this about a year ago, and I think Vera has changed the way it does things with KISS mode and all those different things to accommodate Vera AC, that we're not having the same results we had a year or better ago with Vera locally in NVIS. Anyhow, so we brought up a 300 baud AXIP. It's also running on our frequencies. It's running at a 1500 offset, and a couple of us are using QT sound modem, so we can also add IL2P to that. But basically, the 300 baud AX25 does such a nice job with APRS. It's nice to have Vera, but the overhead for Vera is much higher. And it seems like if you send a beacon, 300 baud is so much faster than start to finish in a Vera beacon. So I started to wonder whether Vera really gives us any advantage other than the low noise, probably get a signal through a little better than 300 baud. But in most cases, 300 baud in our NVIS configuration works pretty well. And then on the back end for a backbone, some of us are offering Arden mesh tunnels. I mean, we're obviously not meshed together RF. It'd be nice if we were, but that's not going to happen very easily. So we do offer an Arden mesh tunneled backbone for stations that want to be part of the network but don't have an RF partner that can put them in yet. We don't want to discount them because we figure if a station comes up, whether they can connect to another hub station or not, if a station's on the air and advertising the network and having an HF station running, people will come and use it once they figure it out and find it. So we don't want to discourage anybody that wants to be involved. So we're giving them another thing. I realize that if the internet goes down and it's grid down, we're going to lose the tunnel. But still using Arden, it is an amateur radio design mesh. It is running on a private 10 dot network. So we feel the need to do that. And some guys are still on AXIP, and that's okay. But I've tried to eliminate as many of the AXIP stations out of my BPQ node as I can. I've kind of went over all this stuff already with, our ideas and how this all evolved. Um, we're trying to push hard with ARRL and even American Red Cross that they're also based on WinLink. And again, I don't have anything wrong with anything against WinLink. I like the software, I like the forms, I like the premise. I just don't like the whole everything is designed over there to really work over the internet and the CMS. And that's the part that we're trying to work around. Again, if the internet is working and it can be used, it's just another tool in the toolbox, and why not use it? But when it's not there, I don't want to be sitting there twiddling my thumbs like I am now, um, wondering what we're going to do to pass this traffic. So that's what we've been working on. Our network shapes up. It's shaping up pretty well. We have a pretty extensive website. I'm constantly working on it, trying to get more information on there as I get questions that folks can't answer from the website. I try to update it as when I have time. I do work full time and also self-employed plus doing this. Plus I'm the EC for Chester County Aries races here. So I got a lot of stuff going on, but this is a passion of mine. I've always been a packet guy since the early 90s. And we really like where this whole thing's going. So basically we offer two setups. One is what we call a 24/7 hub station. Again on HF, typically 40-meter daytime, 80-meter nighttime. Some of us do have 20 meters that we use during the day if we don't have an NVIS connection and we need to spread our wings a little bit. We do have some 20-meter stations in the daytime. The states that we're currently set up in and operating hub stations, Maine, Connecticut. Connecticut is moving, but I have two guys in Connecticut that I'm working with now that want to pick up that spot. So we may not be losing Connecticut. New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, where Brian's with us, Maryland, Virginia, KN4LQN from WinLink Wednesdays. He's one of our hub stations down there just south of Richmond. You have Sean down on the east coast of Florida, about halfway down. He's kind of isolated. He's one of the guys that we can do 20 meters. And we could do 80 meters with him at night, but he lost his antenna in one of those hurricanes down there, and he hasn't gotten his 80-meter antenna squared away again. So, but he and I are connected over Arden. We're going to have station. I said one of the Connecticut stations moving to Georgia. We're hoping to pick up Georgia pretty soon. And I'm working with a Kansas and an Arizona station. And we have some interest in Oregon and California. And I've been staying in touch with the guys in California because they're in the general vicinity of the fire area, but none of them are involved, thankfully. But I stay in touch with them to make sure they're good to go. But they're working on their stations and having the ability to get connected. Maybe before I move into kind of the last little bit of my spiel here, is there any questions thus far from anybody?
Do you do anything with EastNet?
Yes, we are partnered with them officially. We do have some crossover from BPQ to XNet and some JNOS. And yeah, so Brian Webster, the president of EastNet, we share each other's websites and on our groups. We meet with them. I usually do a monthly report during their quarterly meetings. So yes, we are working with them. We're trying to give them some ability to close some gaps that they have in their network between, Florida and up here, where they're using 44 net, which is, the same scenario we all have. If the internet goes down, that's going to go along with Arden, so we're trying to give them an RF option if, that we have a strong storm on the East Coast and, the Mid-Atlantic gets knocked out, power and internet, that we'll still have the ability to run.
Yeah, I asked because Chris had presented on one of these knowledge shares probably a good couple of years ago, and I reciprocated by presenting to their group. And Brian Webster's had some involvement with Golden Packet in the past.
Yeah, good. Yeah, Brian's they're a good group. They got, we enjoy being part of that. And normally when we have our own groups IO, and Brian has one in Delaware, and then the EastNet, and whenever we send messages out, they usually go to all three groups. So we're kind of tied together that way, and we communicate back and forth.
Quick technical question, Jeff. Roger reports he's unable to unmute his camera or microphone. Is that some setting here on our end?
It is not.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do is move over. I'll just show you real quick. So I'm going to move over. This is going to take.
Pardon me. Sorry.
Oh,
can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Are you tied into the network 105 in any way?
We are not.
Okay.
We only because we're not doing AX25 for the network. We're using Vera, HF, and RDOP. The only place we have AX25 is 300 baud is for APRS. So no, we are not. We like having the faster rates to move traffic. We are all operating in the automatic unattended section of the band, so we're running at a bandwidth of 500 with Vera, and we consciously decided that we weren't going to do AX25. So that being said, there are a couple of stations that run AX25, and if they want to dump traffic that way into the network, and then whoever collects that data wants to drop it into the regular network, it's still going to ultimately pass on our network. We're not discounting the traffic or the message. We just don't have the ability to have a direct connect from 300 baud AX25 into the BBQ system that we're running. Does that make sense?
Not a problem. Next one was the HF, the APRS, the 30 meter, 10 megahertz. Are you tied into that?
We are not. We wanted to keep this off the APRS network, if you will. We're just keeping it local to ours. And like I say, other than our local station showing up on the map on each of our screens locally, all we wanted to do is be able to take traffic RF to IS, and then of course backwards to get AX as you need them. But we did not want to put our network in the middle of the APRS in any form. So I have to put up my portable antenna to do 30 meters here. My G5RV and my fan dipole, neither one of them will load up on 30. So to play there, I have to put up my portable HF antenna that comes out of my camper. So no, we're not part of that network in that regard.
All right, no problem. Third question is the TARPN, the TARPN North Carolina Packet Network. Are you familiar with that?
I am familiar with them. I'm familiar with the group over in Virginia Beach area, and there's another one coming in the Georgia area as well. I just was having a conversation with a guy. So yes, I am familiar.
Are you planning to network with them, or that works?
So
I'm in North Carolina. That's why I'm asking.
No, I got it. And we'd love to, but every response that I get about talking to those guys is that they don't want the outside traffic. They're perfectly happy to have point-to-point connections in their Tarpon network and really don't have any interest in or need, I guess, to link with us. So I have not pursued it any further with them. I figured if they want the traffic, it would be easy to give it to them. That's not the same for the group in Virginia Beach. I am one of their main stations there is on HF. He's one of our polling stations. He does pull traffic out of our network, and then they're putting it into their point-to-point network, Tarpon network down there. And I don't know what George is going to do. They're relatively new, so I'm giving them an opportunity to do whatever it is they're going to do to get set up.
Roger, Roger. That was it for my questions for now. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome. So let's start out. We'll start out. I'll show you I have a Google's map made up. These are our current hub stations. So these stations are all 24/7. And I'll show you the frequencies we're on later. It's all on the website. So you can go and see it. Our newest station is here, WW6Q. He's in Indiana. He's our latest station. This station here, K1 AJD, is the one that's leaving Connecticut. He'll be coming down in here into the Georgia area somewhere. But we have a couple of guys up in here that are potentially going to take his place. This is me here, and you can see Brian's call sign, but his flag's a little bit under mine. We're so close to each other, it doesn't show up very well. But this is Brian here, and I'm up here just over into Pennsylvania, west of Philly. And then what I did is I made an NVIS ring here, so just so you get a kind of a little better visual about where we have RF coverage and what it looks like. I haven't gotten Roy's done yet, but these are 200-mile rings from each of the stations, and you can kind of see how things are overlapping. And I know if we'd love to have a couple of stations down here yet to have some redundancy in the South, either South Carolina and Georgia somewhere, to close this whole Maine to Florida track would be wonderful. So that's kind of what the network as 24/7 looks like. And of course we get traffic coming in from all over the place, even though it's designed and our forwarding abilities are based on NVIS. Certainly if the band gods are willing and the sun's not doing terrible stuff, we can certainly support a lot more traffic. These are our polling stations. These guys come and go. They drop traffic in and out. There's a few more of these as well that I haven't got put in here. But they're getting more and more regular as people are finding the network and understanding what they're doing and want to be part of it. But we don't want to lock anybody into a full-time gig. That's our main goal, though. That's what we need. But we'll take any way to move the traffic. And this is to your question, Carlton, is if the 105 guys want to pick up on one of these polling stations and they're running 300 baud HF, and they can drop traffic into any one of these guys and they'll ultimately dump it into the network and we'll move that traffic. So like I say, we don't discount it. We're based on AX25. That's just not a mode on HF we've decided to use just because of the efficiency. And then of course there's the Arden guys that are connected in currently, that are help keep the backbone alive, and the guys that aren't quite yet up to speed on the HF or don't have a partner or don't have their antenna up. there's a lot of guys coming. I'm really, really happy with the response. We had a Brian sent me an article yesterday that we got published, something got published in the amateur news lines this on Friday last week. The nice short story in there about the network and what we're doing. I had no idea they were doing it. We've been in Steve Stroh's Zero Retry several times last year, the network, and so things are picking up on that front. We have a live map that kind of shows you what the network's doing live. So this is just today's connect across the network. So if we tunnel out here and look at my station, if I hub over and you can see all the lines that turn dark blue, these are all stations that connected to me today. Some of them may be WinLink traffic, but a lot of it is packet data coming in and out. You can kind of see what the other hubs are doing. This is that station I was telling you about down in Virginia Beach that is part of the Tarpon network down there. He connects to me. He's obviously connected to David in Virginia. The nice thing about this is we can also pull up and look at the data of how our connects are doing and what our signal to noise is and how many times today we've connected. Jeff is my partner in New York. He and I have connected 6 times today, and it's showing us the average that Vera HF is doing.
What are you using to do this? Is it like Node-RED or?
No, we're using BPQ
Okay.
and Vera HF and RDOT. And then, of course, the APRS side is 300 baud.
Well,
So,
that's populating this site. They're talking
Well,
about like, yeah.
well, yeah. Now this, I don't. Tony up in Connecticut pulled this together. This is a web software that they use in Hawaii, and we borrowed it. And what we're doing is all of our Vera modems syslogs are being sent to this website, and it's creating this all in the back end. I don't know how that part happens. I just think it's slick as heck.
Yeah,
And,
it's really nice.
and it kind of gives us a detailed look. And then if you really want to get crazy with it, here's 5 days that the network's been doing. So when we start rolling in, you can see that the network's being used. And we're really excited about it. There was only a couple of connects per day when we first started. And then you can go over here and look at individual stations and see how many connects we've had for the day, how many bytes we've sent. And then you can get down here and kind of look for the month. You can see already we're 14 days in, and I've already had almost 1,400 connects for January already. So it's pretty cool detail, and it kind of lets you know who's connected, where you can go, who's connected to who. So it's a great information page. And then, of course, there's the full website, and a bunch of us with BPQ are running. We're running the UK map program. I don't know if any of you seen this. It's pretty slick because you can dial out, and anybody that's running JNOS, BPQ, and one other, you can go and look at their node. And if this is me here, and when you open this up, you can see all the ports that I have running, who's connected to them, where I'm connected, what's going on. You can see I haven't had any connects in a little while on my Vera port. But it shows you what frequency we're on. So right now we're on 7.1032, and at 9 o'clock tonight, this will switch over to 80 meters, and then the frequency will change. So you have the ability to go to see what frequencies am I on? Where could you find me? What frequency am I on 40 and 80 meters? This screen shows that, and this is all live from the website. So it's pretty slick. So we're trying to give people as much information on how to find us as we can. The other thing that I started not too long ago, I gotta move. Let's see. So we started doing hub profiles so that you have the ability, depending on where you are and who you think you want to partner with. All of our hub stations are listed as profiles, and you can see everything they offer, anywhere they're scanning, anything that's going on, what services they offer. This happens to be my station. Whatever services, whatever mode they're being offered on. And then this is local access. So you can see that I do have AXIP. I do have a telnet server. So guys that want to mess around and learn how to use Packet a little bit, I can give them access to my telnet. In fact, it's right here. This is the URL. And then you use your own call sign, and the word password will log you in, and you can come in telnet and use the web side of my BBS software to check the bulletin board, to do whatever you want, learn how to use Packet, whatever you would like to do. And it also, from the node side, gives you the ability to outbound connect on any of these ports. So you get to see, everything we're doing. So trying to make this as transparent and as easy for people. Maybe you're up in New York and you don't need to connect to Jeff on HF. You can get down here and look at what he has going on locally and his frequencies, and maybe you can connect in that way. So we're trying to move some data out there.
Did I see a 220 connection on
Yes.
yours? Okay.
Yes. I did put that up, and we're working on a local hospital not too far from me where we're going to put up a tri-band node, and 220 will be there as well here in Chester County. So we're trying to use the 220 a little bit. It was always good back in the day, and before we lose it entirely, we figured we'd put some data on there. This is Brian down in Virginia. So Brian has no internet where his node is. So all his traffic, everything he gets comes from me or Brian in Delaware. Most of his BBS traffic in and out comes through our network. Now he does offer some local stuff. He has, obviously 1200 baud VHF. He as well is running Vera FM. I have a Vera FM going up here. And then of course, Vera HF and RDOT that we all have. That's up in Maine. I have to get some more information from him. I haven't finished his station up there, Steve. Tony is moving this is the guy who's moving. He's offline right now. He's going to Georgia, but he'll come back up shortly. Lee out in Wisconsin, he's got a lot of stuff going on. He is also one of the HF the TPRFN partners. He is doing it on Vera HF out there. That's pretty much that's the size of it there. If you go to the features page here, here's really the nuts and bolts, what we're doing, how we're doing it. This is the back end. The different stuff's going on, how to be an end user. I am also here using APR SIS32. There's so much to that program. It's an amazing program. It's a shame that Lynn passed. But some people are using Pinpoint. BPQ has APRS built in it. You can use it. You can use it from there as well. But I find that APRSIS gives me the most control of my station to be able to pass the traffic I want to pass and turn all the rest of it off. And then these are our published frequencies and times, and where you can find us in most parts of the day. And like I said, this is all on the website, so you can come get it anytime. 40 meters daytime, upper sideband 1500, bandwidth 500. And again, that 500 has to do with automatic unattended and what we're allowed to do. The shame of it is that we're subject to a small section on each band where we can be as unattended at 500, yet all the wide Vera stations and Tactor and all those other things can transmit right over top of us, and they can be anywhere they want. And it's kind of frustrating sometimes, but the beauty of Vera, it's really fun. It's fun to watch because I'll get some WinLink gateway somewhere that'll be completely covering it right across our 500 narrow section of where we are on 40 meters, and yet if there's a break in the action and my station decides it's going to transmit, many times I can make a connection with my next hub station, north or south, right inside the wide signal, and we deliver our traffic anyway. So it's pretty fun to watch how Vera can coexist. So if you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing. And so that's what we're doing. 80 meters at night. What a beautiful band 80 meters is. Once the sun goes down, we get phenomenal speeds there. And then this is the 40 meter frequency that some of us use. So that's I mean, there's a lot more here on the. You can join our IO group here. One of the things we did do working with David down in Virginia, we've created some packet forms. So these are text forms because obviously, you're not gonna, you can send the form data, but we wanted to make up some forms that you can use that were similar to WinLink, give you the same feel. So if I were to pick the field situation report and I load it, it actually loads in the web browser just like it would for WinLink. You fill in all the data, you can save it, you can reload it. And then at the end, when you're all ready to go, you click this box and all your data comes over here. And all you do is go to copy text, and then we can drop it into a packet message, and it holds its format and everything the way it is. It just doesn't have all the pretty boxes and all the stuff. But we have added the ability with Packet to have some forms. We're not going to do all of them, but we're doing the ones that we would normally use. And so we've worked that into the mix to give people a little more ease and feel a little more familiar. If they're doing WinLink already, they come over here and they understand it's the same scenario here. So we have that going on. So there's a lot to, we're doing a lot. We have a good group. And I'm going to be doing profiles for the polling stations as well. I just haven't had time to do that yet, but it'll be coming in the coming weeks. I'll be getting those done as well. We try to do a newsletter if we can, or try to have something current what the network's doing monthly. I did add this in. This was the Newsline text from the article that came out this weekend. Was pretty well done. You can actually go to the website and listen to it live. Actually, there's a video. You can actually see them. You can see the reporter going over it. They're showing the website. It's pretty slick that we made the news. So the word's getting out, and we would love to do something with you with your Golden Packet event. We certainly don't want to get in the mix, and we don't want to mess with anything you're doing, but we'd love to test with you. We'd love to figure out if there's a way that, maybe that gap you might have in North Carolina could be filled with HF and dumped up to the next station. Who knows? But we'd love to work with you and just try something out. And any of you guys that want to play with it, certainly feel free to come over on the HF side and see what you can do with APRS. Again, it's 300 baud basically at 1500. So if you're using sound modem or direwolf or one of those to come over to HF, you definitely have to change your split from the typical 1700 to 1500, and we are on upper sideband, not lower. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I don't know, Brian, do you want to introduce yourself in Delaware there if you're up for it, and anything you want to add to the mix?
I just want to say good evening, everybody, and thanks for the invite here. And Glenn, thanks for the talk. I don't have anything to add other than thanks again and good evening.
All right, Brian, thank you. So anything else I can show you or tell you or questions? Happy to
Quick
take 'em.
question.
Sure, go ahead.
The difference in the Vera and the RDOP, are the nodes dedicated, or they do a swap where they listen on each of the different modes?
No, so the node is dedicated, but both of those modes are running simultaneously. So if a Vera station connects in, obviously that's the station that's going to win. But if a station comes in and connects and it's quiet and they connect with RDOP, then everything else will wait until the RDOP station is done. We did RDOP because there's a variety of Vera naysayers out there. Either they don't want to buy the license, or they don't want to buy the license, or they don't want to. It doesn't work well on Windows. I get all that, and so we've added the RDOP to kind of give some of those folks the ability to use the network with something a little faster than 300 baud. And I have a fair amount of users that come in on RDOP, and it seems to work very well. But as far as data goes and backbone stuff, it's just hard to beat Vera. It's so forgiving, and we're getting it at nighttime on 80. We can get up to 1250 bits per second over HF, and other than Pactor 3 and 4, I don't know where else you're going to really get that kind of speed. And the idea is it's not the speed as much as it is the fact that the HF bands can be so busy that it gives us an ability to get on. We pass our message to north or south or a compass point, depending on where our partners are. And we're done and we're off the air. And then when our partners are ready, they forward it to the next station. And we're passing traffic down the network from north to south in a minute or two, depending on the size of the message. So it's not internet speed by any stretch, but it's plenty fast enough. And we have not, I can say, watching all the logs the way I do and everything, we have not, through all the sunspot stuff, the whole bit, we have not stranded a message that couldn't be delivered across the network because the RF path didn't work to one partner or another. So we're pretty proud of that as well. So that's what we're doing, and that's what we're trying to promote. And we're again looking for more stations, and we're gonna keep on plugging the best we can.
Roger.
All right, Glenn. Thank you very much. Obviously learn a little bit more tonight than when I was at the Pentagon meeting. For those of you, the Pentagon I know Lynn had presented there. I think he's the only one, and Glenn, but Gary, there's times where somebody's presenting and we're getting near the end, and Gary will just, all right, thank you very much. We're coming up on our hour, so. So I always, when somebody was going to do a presentation like Glenn, I always let them know, hey, just let you know, once you kick off, look at the clock, because about 5 minutes to 12. If you're not done, Gary's gonna wrap it up for you. So, all right,
Can I
thank you.
ask a quick question?
I was just going to say, anybody else have any questions that they'd like to ask Glenn or Brian while they're here?
Glenn, your coverage right now looks like the East Coast plus into Chicago. Are you looking to expand it, like to New Orleans or on Gulf Coast or nationwide, or where would you like to see us be in a couple of years?
I would love to see this be across the country. I think that it's important to fill in the whole country and have an off the grid network
Yeah.
that's reliable. So I'm promoting it. When I promote the network, I promote it everywhere, not just on the East Coast. Um, like I say, we have a couple of stations, Arizona, um, uh, where else? Kansas City. I'm working with a station now, and we have two stations in New York. And a guy just emailed me today from Oregon that want to get involved somehow. They're not HF capable yet, but they want to get involved. So that's the more we get, I think activity breeds activity, and that's all we can do. And I would love to see this fill in everywhere it can.
Thank you.
And I'm Glenn is as long as the schedule works out, the Stafford County area MCON team down here, we are really well integrated with our county.
Mhm.
There's some places in Virginia that are the county doesn't even want to talk to hams. When they had the big snow thing, they got on the phone, called our MCON guy, and they activated us. So we spent time in the EOC with during the last storm down here in Virginia. But we have our meetings on second Saturday of the month. So I asked Glenn to present to the guys coming up because we're looking at we've got Packet, we've got HF, we've got a couple different modes available. So it'd be nice to be able to get something configured. So when we're activated, to be able to pop in there and use it for especially if there's an off grid situation.
That's what we're here for. That's what we really, we're doing like I say, we're doing our backbone thing and keeping Packet Network alive because we think there's still a lot of, uh, um, I don't even know what I want to say here, but as far as ecom, because I think there's a bit still a good space for Packet, um,
Yep,
in today's world.
yep,
So
we have
we want to
Packet
keep
in
that
our
network on.
yeah we have Packet in the little the MCON vehicle or the county EOC mobile unit. So so we've got HF anyway. So we're working on getting more robust. Jim N4WFP, did you I saw did you have a question?
Yeah, what is the license cost for the Verus software package?
I think it's $69, I'm going to say, but it's a one-time deal and it works with every application of Vera you have. It's based on your call sign. So you can do Vera FM, you can do Vera Satellite, you can do Vera HF. As long as you're using the same call sign, the license is good across the board. I probably run 5 versions of Vera here to make this whole network run. My whole network is controlled by Raspberry Pi, but I'm running 3 Windows computers here to run this whole thing in PA. And they all have different versions of Vera running. They're all running on the same license, and it works very nicely. So
That's a
I
one-time
found that
license for life.
one-time license for life by call sign.
Got it. Thanks.
Mhm. And the guys are getting better. The win the ver the sorry the Linux guys are getting Vera to work um, much better these days. It's coming along in both Wine and Windows. I think that it's getting it's coming along pretty well for the Linux guys too. The guys are figuring it all out. So although it's not ported for it, it is working on Linux.
Yeah, they run it sandboxed on a Pi 5 or a
Mhm.
Pi 4. But yeah, that's my only. I've got a Vera license, but that's my only beef with them that they won't open it up to a Linux base.
Yeah, he's got his mindset, I guess. I don't know. Maybe someday he will.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but but for now, that's the other thing with the Linux guys, and it's not open source. So what are you going to do? But it definitely is a game changer, and I think it's been a game changer across the board for most MCOM digital stuff, with the exception of, like I say, JS8 and a couple of those. Um, Everybody's using it and taking advantage of it for sure. So,
Are you familiar with the comms channel there in Tennessee?
I'm not.
He does a lot with mesh tastic. Also APRS. He's released BBS that functions on APRS.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty interesting. But here I'm in North Carolina, EM85 is my grid square. I'm right there. I border Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina. I'd be interested in hosting a dual mode node there. I've got
Love to
access
have you.
to. Yeah, I'm looking at your map, and there's a bunch of packet, both HF and VHF in the area, but we're always hindered by the mountains. So I connect to some of the local nodes via HF and this. So I got what you're dealing with. So I'd
Well,
like
that's
to
good.
talk
I mean, and
more about that.
yeah, and the other piece of this, and as Brian and I have been working on since we got together about 3 years ago and started talking about all this, was actually, bringing the popularity of Packet back into the mainframe. It's kind of making its renaissance, and it's fun to watch some of these different articles and some of the stuff going around, because it's being looked at again, partly because of what we're doing, and for other reasons as well. I'm not, it's not all about us, but we're really trying to bring light to Packet and its importance, and I mean, look how well EPRS has done since Bob started all this way back in the day. I used to go to the APRS meetings down in Maryland, when they had them down at the space, what you call it down there. And the big thing was we'd all watch track the football for the Army Navy game, way back in the day. And look how resilient and well the APRS network is held up and is working. And we think that Packet it's identical in retrospect, and we can just pass longer messages. That's all. So
Absolutely. I like the fact that it interacts with WinLink and also WhatsApp and the SMS. The SMS, I don't know if they've reconnected that, but the fact that there's such versatility with it, it's amazing.
we tested both the last weekend. We were messing with it, and I shut off everything, and I just connected to my New York station, and I were on there, and I sent an HF SMS message to myself, and it didn't take 30 seconds, and my phone was dinging across HF out to the network on his end. And so we're looking for some more users. Us testing it amongst ourselves seems to be working, but we need to understand that it's going to work for everybody as well. And assuming it will, providing one of us hear you. I mean, that's the trick, right? Whoever can pick it up and deal with it, deals with it. So that's what we're all about. And again, I thank you for having me here, and I don't want to take up any more of your Tuesday night, but I enjoyed these talks.
Jeff have your contact information available to?
Yeah, we can do that, and it's all on the website as well, but I can certainly put it in chat too.
All right.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Anybody else have any questions? Oh. All right. Well, thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Brian, for both coming here to talk to us about the network. very interesting. I'll reach out to you, Sepcor, Glenn, because I told you what I'm to see, and I'll talk with the. Oh wait, John Tarbox has this. Oh, never mind. He's clapping. Not, he's got both hands raised, but he's clapping. Okay. So thank you. um, and I'll talk with you, and then I'll talk with like Jeff and some of the guys here on the team because to see if me looking to try and put together, I'll call it like a VHF HF bridge or something for the trail.
Yep.
Like I said, even if it's just taking the VHF traffic coming off of APRS and putting it into the system to see if it'll work. If that type of packet will transfer over as opposed to just like an SMS or email or something. But whatever we can do to try to bridge it, because like you said, like you were thinking the same you came to the same thing I was thinking of. If we have a gap down the south, what are some of the options to kind of bridge that gap? And if there's something that we can use, I don't know if this would work, but if it's something that you just can't get a spot in there, short of putting up a a balloon a couple 100 feet in the air, that may not be the best solution.
Yeah, I think that I think they're like I say, the idea here is ANCOM and to give portable stations that get deployed for. We also, I didn't mention before, but we're also partners with Oxcom USA. So if they were to deploy some field people into an area to help out, we want to be able to give them access. So doing what you're doing is an obvious test for that same scenario. So again, I'm not here to get you guys to change what you guys have been doing. You've been doing it a long time and you've got to figure it out. But if there's a way that we can test either alongside of you or close a gap somewhere, we're happy to try to do
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. John Tarbox, you got a question?
Yes, I just got a text message because we have a guy here in Maine who's very active in Packet, and that's Roger N1XP. And he sent me a screenshot saying the host was not allowing participants to unmute themselves. And if Jeff could just check that, because I believe Roger may have a question. I believe also Glenn, he's setting up many Packet nodes here in Southern Maine, so he's probably very interested in connecting with you. Could you just
Yep.
check that? And see if we can unmute Roger.
Yeah, let me see here. Hang on a second here. Let's see if I can do an ask to unmute. I can't actually unmute him, but I can send him a message and ask him to unmute.
Well, he sent me a screenshot and it says the host is not allowing participants to unmute themselves.
Really?
Can he try to log out and log back in?
Hang on a second. Hang on.
Okay.
It works for us.
Yeah, so there is a checkbox. Hang on a second. Let me grab this so you guys can see this. Just so you guys know I'm not full of it here. So let's see here. Let me share my screen one moment. So this is the option that's been enabled, allow participants to unmute themselves. So that is turned on. Let me just turn it off and back on again, just to see if maybe that does the trick. But I've never changed that option. Let me turn that off.
And
I think I just saw Brian's mic come unmuted. Is that AA1WI?
no, it's Roger that N1XP.
Roger. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just testing mine.
Oh, okay. I see Roger.
Yeah, so I just unchecked and rechecked the box. So Roger, if you want to take a look and see if you can, otherwise I would encourage you to just use the chat to ask your question.
Yeah.
And
the only other option would be Roger to log off and then exit and then re-enter the event.
Glenn, is it okay if Roger sends you an email?
absolutely.
And you posted that in the chat, I see. And hopefully Roger sees that. Yep.
All right. Well, so the email's there, n3mel.epa@gmail.com. November 3, Mike Echo Lima .Echo Papa Alpha @gmail.com.
Correct.
All right. And we got the other for the AX25 at DP.
Yeah, Brian has a lot of information about setting up and working AXIP and BPQ and some other stuff. So that's a great site for specifically that side of the network.
Yeah.
So check him out as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, somebody have something else because we're coming up on.
I was just going to say, I'd give a big plug out for Craig there, KM6LYW. His DigiPi is set up most beautifully to do the AX25 yard and 300 baud.
Yeah.
It does work very well.
Yeah. Beautiful. I use that for my local node here. I do a WinLink node, but it doubles as a packet node. So it's absolutely, it's a great asset to have.
Yep. All right. Yeah. And I'll talk to you, Glenn, about the DigiPi just because we're coming up on 2100. Not that we need,
No problem.
But yeah, we just want to kind of be conscious of everybody's time because, trying to wrap things up. So, but no, really, really appreciate it. We'll stay in touch and I'll work with Jeff and the team to see what to see what kind of bridge we can have between them. Even if it's just a proof of concept this year, or if it's something else we'll do, but I really appreciate it. So, at this time, I guess we can go look to end the call unless anybody has any last minute things. Jeff, I'll flip it over to you just in case you have any last minute bits of wisdom from either the APR Appalachian Trail Golden Packet group or the APRS Foundation.
I do not.
Thank you, Glenn. Sorry.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you so much, Glenn, and appreciate your time. And I'm really happy that you came to join us. Fascinating topic and lots of great information.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
All right. Thanks, everyone, and have a good night. And see you on email in the group email. And worst case, next. I don't have the date off the top of my head, but it will be February 11th, unless something else pops up in the way. But February 11th will be our next knowledge share. All right. Thanks, everyone, and have a good night.